So that was amazing, Kai. That was amazing how you're using real deep data tools to optimize the user experience. But you've had the opportunity to introduce yourself already, but I'm going to give that opportunity also to Colin, and if you can also, Aksel.
Great, Colin Dixon, founder and chief analyst at nScreen Media. I cover the digital media space generally, the transition of video from single screen to multi-screen delivery. Have been doing that at nScreen Media since 2013 and been an analyst in the space since 2005. Gosh.
And you do a great job filling in for me when I have to go to...
That does occasionally happen.
And Aksel.
So I'm Aksel, I'm Executive Vice President for Digital Ventures and Innovation at Turner International. And basically my group consists of 4 components. So I oversee our technology and operations, our digital products, including OTT and SVOD, our data and data strategy, as well as our innovation activities, which range from innovation sprints in-house to incubating products, like we launched a cloud gaming product last year in Latin America, to open innovation, working with startups and investing in startups as well.
Okay, well, while you've got still some momentum, I was interested in that, how much analysis you do of everything from audio to video to subtitles, everything, in order to try to find that optimal recommendation. Have you measured your customer satisfaction with those recommendations? How do you know it works?
So, I mean, we're always A/B testing everything we release, and when we do a new feature, we put it out, and if it doesn't work, we will do something else. So that's, I guess, the metric, whether it works or not. We don't sort of, I haven't done a major analysis on customer satisfaction to understand it over time, but we like to think that when people are more engaged in the service and when we rate higher on our NPS services, that you know, that's a good thing, and that's driving our business forward.
Colin, have you done much homework on that kind of use of AI in various operators? Because you have a global perspective.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's very common. That's a very common area of attack. There are several services that are using AI and cognitive services in an almost feedback loop mechanism. So what happens is that they're watching what people are watching, and it can be done passively or actively, where people like things, or just if they don't skip it. They're gathering information on what people are watching and processing this using cognitive services to learn better what that person likes to watch and increase the content in those feeds that the user has expressed an interest in. I will say in pretty much all the implementations that I've seen, there is a human element as well. I think one of the concerns that we all have is that we end up being recommended only stuff that we like, and we never see anything new. Mm-hmm. And so there is still very definitely a strong role in those solutions for a human programmer to inject variety and new stuff. But I would say that is one of the key areas that AI has been pointed at in the first instance.
How about you, Aksel? Do you have any experience that we can share on that?
Yeah, we use AI in a variety of areas, and everything that Kai went through about content recommendation, metadata enrichment, for sure. We do apply AI, though, as well to some of our more kind of what I would say core processes of our television business. To give you an idea, talking about programming, we just finished a proof of concept in Latin America where we use AI to create programming schedules for some of our channels. And we do that by linking to ratings data with our metadata, with our the content availability. And we're so pleased with that we're actually going to go live on one of our channels with that next quarter and then start rolling it out. That's a example. Other example we use currently is using AI for automated translation. And there we actually translate some of our Japanese content for a Korean YouTube channel. And what it allows us to do is to utilize that content, create a bigger reach in a very cost-efficient way, because if we would do it in kind of the old way, it would not be cost-efficient. Now, is the translation there yet? No, it's not yet. It's not broadcast quality. But for us, as it's a YouTube channel, we're giving ourselves a little bit more leeway, but it allows us to learn from that as well.
Looking at my notes, Colin, it's actually you told me about the BBC 3, I think, using AI.
Very similar approach, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And BBC's was just a trial. You're actually going to production with it. So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
How did you learn the profile of the users to program the channel?
Well, for the program channel, so we of course leverage our existing programmers. And talking about the learning, in previous channel they talked about kind of getting the learning out of the specialists within the machine learning algorithm. So we use them to actually test kind of what we're doing and whether or not that's correct or not. So it's a combination of the two.
Interesting.
One of the parts of the jigsaw puzzle that is always seemed to be weak, in my view, is the optimization of the delivery network, the CDN. We know that CDNs react very well to demand. When it senses demand, it will promulgate out close to the edge. But it's being able to predict potential demand that seems to be the one that's going to really drive the costs and increase the immediacy of the delivery and lower the latency. Do you have any experience of how to optimize CDNs to do your service?
I mean, we've been running a multi-CDN strategy for many years, so we run 3 CDNs on active all the time. We haven't used machine learning algorithms to optimize, how they are used, although we always optimize for every user's performance, so we do that. I think there is an opportunity to use machine learning for sort of self-healing approaches, whether it is on a CDN or on a cloud infrastructure level, so that when you have nodes going down or you have issues happening across your infrastructure, that you can immediately understand that and sort of restart or take that out of the system. So we have been sketching on something like that, but not really anything in production at this point.
Okay, interesting. One thing I have been saying, which is a subjective opinion that could be questioned, and I'd like to see if, Colin, if you think it has a merit. Do you think that the application of machine learning, deep learning, in our space will have as much of an impact as the transition to IP did 10 years ago?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think it has a great potential to revolutionize various parts of the business, there's no question. But it's not as big a change as reaching everybody on everything at all the time. That's a really fundamental change in the way we approach the business. I actually like where you were going with the previous line of question, the question you gave to Kai. There's a lot of optimization we can do in the back end that is really pretty much hidden from consumers.
Yeah.
That makes a real fundamental difference. I'll give you a great example. You said optimizing the CDN. What better way to optimize delivery than to minimize the bandwidth? Well, there's a company called BitMoving. I've spoken to Stefan Lederer a few times.
Yeah.
And they're using AI to optimize the encode cycle. So right now what we tend to do is
There's another company called IIO,
Yeah.
Palo Alto.
Oh, yes, I know IIO very well. And when we encode video, that is when we digitize video today, we tend to use fixed profiles. And so what that basically says is, this video here, we're going to use this profile throughout the video to encode it, right? And so maybe you're doing sports, so you use one that doesn't do much compression because you want to retain as much information as possible because it's fast moving and there's lots happening. Or maybe it's a cartoon and you do a lot of compression. Well, the reality is that any given video, particularly general entertainment or movies, it varies greatly between scenes, what's going on, right? So they're using AI to recognize what's going on in a scene and pick an optimal profile to encode for that part of the video.
Yeah.
And that has, that can save you money.
It does.
Can save you streaming bandwidth.
IIO was originally used by Netflix way back when they first started digitizing their DVDs, preparing for the day when DSL, etc., would be strong enough to stream, because before that, the only people making money was UPS in delivering video. But they've moved on. IIO originally was just the measurement tool, but But what they did, they actually created a kind of feedback loop into an encoding process that does exactly what you say. It basically says, even with some of these standard, like the X264, etc., you can actually have a whole range of different profiles, and on an almost frame by frame basis, it will choose it. It obviously does it scene by scene to start with, then it goes down even to smaller elements. Absolutely brilliant how much more they've been able to compress as a result.
Yeah.
But do you think AI has a role in just the infrastructure, or do you think it has any role in the creation? Because I'm fascinated with the idea that potentially in the production process and the editing process, AI could be a way of optimizing how well the content is going to be received, rather than having focus groups and screenings and that kind of thing. What do you think? Is it possible to simulate human reception as an AI function? That would be deep learning to do that. What do you think, Aksel? Turner thinking of doing that?
No, not yet. I think there's still quite some way to go, and I think coming back to the human interaction and also in recommendation, it's interesting. There is in the creative process there's the human element, but even in the experience there's a human element. Because when I used to run Timeout before I joined Turner, we did recommendation there as well, and we found actually that if we go too deep in the recommendation, our engagement went down. So we decided we would do recommendation between 75 and 85%, and 15 and 25% was just serendipity. It was random stuff. And what we found, our engagement actually went up. So there is that, the human nature is slightly different.
You found the same?
No, yeah, I think you're right, and I think machine learning could be a way to help curators as well to access more information about the content so they can make more intelligent choices. I think if you can dress up your content database with a lot of know-how that the curator would normally not have, maybe they're professionals with understanding content and what works in the market, and knows actors, but they maybe not have everything around how the content has been performing more in detail. So if you can give that to curators, I think they can do a better job as well.
Right, we're at the last 10 minutes, so I'm giving you this fair warning. We have some really great minds here. If you want to put your hand up and ask questions, and we have one, Steve Hawley.
Hi.
You'll be next.
So
Wait for the microphone, Steve, it's coming.
Thank you. Thanks. So the discussion has been, that was an interesting discussion about CDN and video profile optimization. I spend a lot of my time looking at user interface because of my focus on middleware, and so if you look at a website and how websites are treated with analytics these days, you can learn where somebody has moved their mouse or how long it took between action A and action B, and then they can aggregate that information and make intelligent decisions about user interface design. Are any of you seeing that or using that to design TV interfaces?
Not in our case, not for TV interface. I mean, of course we look at the user experience specifically around our OTT products and how we do that and what's the best to optimize that. There we utilize it, not for the TV interface itself.
I can give you a specific example, Steve. You probably already know this, but I'll pad it out for you. Netflix, they use algorithms to pick the graphic that you are shown when you are browsing a show. So, for example, if I like Matt Damon, let's say I'm browsing a movie like, what was that? I forget that sci-fi thing that he had a minor role in. But if I was browsing this movie, I would see a graphic for that movie, which includes Matt Damon. And so they're producing many, many different snapshots of the shows. And they're using algorithms and machine learning to pick the one that they think will optimally engage me. And it seems to be pretty effective. So effective, in fact, that a young lady accused Netflix algorithm of being racist. And the reason she said that was she was African American, and she had obviously been watching a lot of African American movies, and she was browsing this movie that featured predominantly white actors. And the graphic she was shown was of the about the only scene in the movie that included a black couple. She noted this and she accused Netflix of being racist because of it.
I think that we wouldn't be able to live without the navigation data, because if you only use the consumption data, you wouldn't know where from the user has chosen to play content. So the navigation data is critical in order to make good recommendations in the service, and obviously we can see where from the majority of the consumption takes place. I think I've seen a lot of companies putting recommendations very deep into their service, maybe because they're scared of the results, but it also means that their impact is marginalized, because if you put it, I don't know, far down in the interface, maybe you have to click a number of times to get to your recommendations, you know, you're gonna only have 0.5% of your user base or whatever. So I think you need to know where your traffic is in order to make any impact using machine learning.
This goes back to the days of newspapers where it's above or below the fold.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or if you're 3 layers in, and the old rule of the web is if you have to click more than twice, you fail. So
Yeah. What I haven't seen is I haven't seen interfaces dynamically configure themselves based on profiles.
And I haven't heard middleware companies talk about that.
Yeah.
But you hear it over conversation.
Yeah.
That would be such a huge application. Another one is in Netflix on their series, like Last Kingdom or First Kingdom, whatever it is, a lot of recaps. I know that Vion Labs can actually make trailers using AI, but I don't think it really is an important application. But the use of AI to produce recaps is something, and it's an important part of when you have series of series 3, number 2, number 5, whatever it is. Having that recap is kind of an important thing to have. There was another question at the back there, if we could get that.
Incidentally, Watson Media has done several demonstrations, one of them at the US Open tennis tournament, where they were dynamically creating highlight clips.
Nice.
In exactly that way.
Nice.
Exactly the way you described.
My name's Jeffrey Lee. I work for Wicked Labs. We're a data analytics and AI platform for OTT. I have a comment and a question. A gentleman over there asked what the impact of AI could be, and I think Jacques Edouard said it could be about 30%. We've seen recently customers lowering their acquisition, their marketing costs by 25%, and their churn by 30% using intelligent machine learning. So it can be done quite substantially.
That's why I contend it's as important as IP, but he and I have arm wrestle about it.
And my question also is, I think, on the practical side around these recommendation engines, which look fantastic. And when we go to Netflix or Amazon, we think they're dreadfully clever, and they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year on this kind of these recommendations. Do we know how much impact they really have? Kai, and I guess for Aksel as well, have you seen what is the impact of this, all the work you're doing on recommendation on customer lifetime value?
So we wouldn't have these features live on the site, and I wouldn't show them if they didn't have an impact. I couldn't claim that it goes from increases viewing of a block with 10%, because that's not it. It's small percentages here and there. But if you, in aggregate, I think it drives engagement a lot. And one thing is to drive the engagement when people are on the site, but the more important metric for us is the number of times people come in. So if you keep showing the same content over and over again, and you don't filter out what people have been watching, or you keep promoting the same series day after day after day, well, the number of days people are going to go in is going to be, steady or go down. So I think the key metric is really to have people come back more often to the service. So that's we feel that we're being able to affect that metric. But also, it's still early days for us. We've been doing recommendations forever, but this is the first sort of 12 months that we've been trying to actually manipulate the site and turn it all around and filter out and resort everything on the site.
It's very difficult to get data on what you ask, and one of the problems with it, and you know this as well as I do, is that you never make just one change, right? So there's a whole range of changes that you make in order to create better recommendations that have benefits in the rest of your, in the rest of the interface and the rest of the business. So you have like better descriptions of the content, for example. So it's really hard to pin it down to just to the recommendation part.
It is, but I agree with Kai. Kind of the frequency of people coming back and how much time they spend on the platform is a clear indicator whether they're going to churn or not, for example.
Yep.
And you can profile your customer base very clearly on that.
Yep.
For example, the cloud gaming platform that we have in Latin America, we clearly see if they start dropping off in the game frequency, we know they're going to churn within 30 or 45 days. So you can apply those measurements, and then if you can drive that engagement up and get them back into it, engage with it, that will help you with the churn reduction.
Yeah. I thought you were going to ask us about chi.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
There's one question down here, and I've got room for one last question if anyone wants to do that. Otherwise, we'll be at the coffee break.
Moritz from iPon Web. I have a question to Kai and maybe Aksel. You've been talking lots about AI on content recommendations and learnings from AI from user journeys.
Yes.
The advertising industry is obviously a huge potential for this AI use learning and recommendations. Are you familiar with any kind of applications, live applications, where you see the value of context-relevant placement of advertising and then the conclusions out of that, which you can share with the audience today?
Good question.
I mean, I'm aware of a lot of when you use sort of dynamic advertising, if it's insertion or replacement or that sort of thing. But I am not familiar with
context relevance.
No.
So companies like GrapeShot are very good for display advertising in that field. But when you talk about video and television experience, the claim to fame from television is always we know the audience, we know what is best for the audience. Mm-hmm. But to do that in real applied AI intelligence and take the measurement and make the examples, I would be curious if you...
No, I mean, I would say we're playing around with it a little bit in the US because we have a lot of data and a lot of power there. But it's very initial stages where we're still playing around with that one. So we're not conclusive there on kind of what the conclusions are.
There is one company I can think of that has done a little bit of this, and that's figuring out the optimal place to place the ad in the video. And that's Elation with their freemium product Verve, where they've figured out, using algorithms, the best place to place the ad.
Verve or
Verve? Verve. Elation.
That's good. You want that, but I think what you're talking about is where we get to the dollars and when you get optimal placement of the contextual placement. I think that's very good.
No, that's exactly what they're trying to do. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
There is a lot more to come on this, as you can tell. So this time next year, we have another panel on AI, and these guys come back again and talk to us about what they've been able to do in 12 months. A couple of announcements. One is, we saw from the previous panel a little bit of a challenge on ATSC about how ATSC and broadband and broadcast and broadband trying to come together inside. There is a group that is being formed at NAB. If you're attending NAB at all, it's an ATSC 3.0 interest group. If anyone needs any information about that, let me know and I'll get you on the interest list if you like. And the second thing is the Nordic Entertainment Group ticker symbol, I think, is going to be NENT. Is that right?
That's right.
And watch out for that. When is it? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Tomorrow morning. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Seriously. And please thank the panel. It's been very interesting. Thanks so much.